come out swinging with a very controversial opinion. Clerics don't need deities and warlocks don't need patrons. So let's talk about that. Throughout my time playing D&D, I have only ever come across one cleric that didn't want to be connected to a deity or god. It was a character that my brother was playing named Stuart Littletail. He was a rodent folk life domain cleric. The entire backstory of that character is basically, the home village of said character got destroyed, and then they went off to cleric college. They got an education instead of formally being connected to a deity. It's honestly true in most TTRPGs. If you believe in the wizard archetype as someone who looks over a spellbook and is copying spells into a spellbook day and night, using basically instructions on spell scrolls and all that stuff, and then copying it into their own notes, then yeah, clerics should be able to do this. It takes away the main ability of the wizard, being able to copy spell scrolls and all that stuff into their spell books. If any other class can do that, justified by their backstory, then why shouldn't every other class be able to do that? Genuinely, my response to that is, not only are you level 1, but also other prepared spellcasters should just genuinely be able to do this. If only wizards have the ability to do this, then how can anyone learn spells at all? That sounds a lot more like a sorcerer than a wizard to me. The fact that you have to be able to be born with a certain set of skills to learn how to copy down spells sounds more like innate magic than like educated magic, to me at least. You're level 1. Just because you said that you killed a dragon or are part of a massive thieves guild in your backstory doesn't mean that it's going to come into play at all. Even some D&D official settings support stuff such as this line of thinking. For example, I know I've been bringing it up a lot in my videos recently, but the world of Darksun and Athos, they don't have gods that contact the physical world. Instead, they worship the elements like water, fire, earth, air, wind, lightning, all that sort of stuff. Clerics need to worship some kind of deity, or the divine intervention, like class mechanic, genuinely just won't work. Explain that. I can actually explain that fairly easily. I've been playing D&D for 3 years. I have never once played in a campaign that goes past level 10, so why are we worrying about it? And even if your campaign does go past level 10, why not just treat it like a normal spell? Not just have your cleric, talk to the party and pretty much say something like this. I just remembered the spell that I had access to a long time ago. The reason why I haven't been using it up to now is because that's a very high chance of failing. I don't know if it will ever work. It's there for emergencies and it will most likely fail. But if it does work, it can give me very big powers. Something like that, or maybe just not even acknowledging it. There are so many DMs that have never asked their players, hey, what abilities do you get whenever you level up? Because, they can either look that stuff up online, flip through one of the books, or just not acknowledge it. Personally, whenever I'm DMing, I don't go over all the new abilities that my players get whenever I tell them that they level up. The amount of time that that would take, I'm usually playing with 6 to 8 players. So, I just don't have the time to do that, and the time that I do have to do that, I could use session prepping. Just genuinely doing anything else. Okay, maybe clerics don't need deities, but warlocks definitely need patrons. Yeah, warlocks need patrons. Do they, though? Not really. I mean, just like a cleric, warlocks don't really necessarily need a patron. Even though it is less common for a warlock not to have a patron than it is for a cleric not to have a deity, it still happens sometimes. Confirmed by the writers of 2014 5th edition that the magic and spells and all of the abilities that a warlock gets become internal once they get them. Meaning that immediately a warlock can break off from their patron as soon as the deal is done and keep all of those powers. The first rule, or I guess rule 0, or the golden rule of D&D, I've been over this before, is basically can any rules if they're stopping you from having fun. So what's stopping you from reflavoring a subclass? Some of the warlock packs are directly actually made for this. For example, the undead, the hexblade, the genie, and the fiend. Kind of all of those subclasses are creatures that would give you your powers and then only interact with you once, maybe twice or 3 times during your adventure. Something like a celestial or a genie, or well, no, not a genie. Celestial or an Archfey or like an Undying Warlock is more likely to interact with you because they're more common within the D&D worlds, in my opinion. Why can't you just explain a Warlock being a different kind of sorcerer? They're both charisma-based casters. They both have internal magic. Just because one of them made a deal, like I've said this before in other videos, but NPCs and people a part of your world probably don't know the names or class descriptions of the archetypes that your players fall into. So, I'm going to say these two things that connect really quick. Charismatic casters that have magic that come from inside of them with a mysterious origin. That both describes a warlock and a sorcerer. So it's probably a decent chance that people and NPCs inside of your world would just think that your warlock is a different kind of sorcerer. Unless they're going around, like, saying their patron's name whenever they cast Eldritch Blast or something like that. Warlocks don't really need patrons. That's going to be the end of today's video. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, all sorts of stuff. Alright, see you next time I upload. Bye.